Wojak and the dinner date of the peculiar Chew. The evening had arrived, painted with the soft glow of street lights and the hopeful murmur of a bustling city. For a certain gentleman, whom we shall call Leo. Yes, Leo. Tonight, Leo was on a date. The date with that woman, Chloe. The one he had, after much internal debate, decided to give a chance, despite a certain textual anomaly regarding the word loose. Leo had arrived at the restaurant a few minutes early, precisely as his overthinking tendencies dictated. He smoothed his shirt. He checked his phone, not for new texts, but to confirm the time, and to congratulate himself on his magnanimity regarding previous linguistic discrepancies. Chloe arrived a few minutes later, right on time. She smiled. She had a genuine, warm smile.
"Hi Leo,"
she said, her voice cheerful.
"Thanks for meeting up."
"Of course," Leo replied, feeling a familiar tightness in his chest, now more about the date itself than any pre-existing grammatical anxieties. They were seated. The menu was presented. Conversation flowed easily. They talked about their jobs, their hobbies, a recent movie. Chloe told a funny anecdote about her cat, and Leo found himself genuinely chuckling. She was charming. She was witty. She was, in short, a perfectly lovely person. He felt good about having moved past his initial, petty hang-up. He was evolving. He was growing. Then the food arrived. Delicious aromas filled the air. They both took their first bites. And that's when Leo heard it. A small sound. A barely perceptible, yet distinctly present, smack. Leo froze. He blinked. He subtly glanced at Chloe. She was chewing her food. Nicely. Politely. But with a very, very slight, almost imperceptible smack at the end of each chew. Or perhaps her mouth was just a hair's breadth open. He couldn't be sure, and that uncertainty only added to his torment. He tried to ignore it. He truly did. He focused on his own food. He focused on Chloe's eyes. He focused on the painting on the wall behind her. But the sound was there. Insistent. Repetitive. A tiny, rhythmically annoying punctuation mark to an otherwise pleasant conversation. Honestly, the sheer amount of mental energy one expends trying to ignore something so incredibly minor, yet utterly distracting. It's truly astounding. It's like being forced to listen to a tiny metronome set to an irregular beat. Not my ears, of course. Leo's ears. My very auditory sensitive friend, Leo. His mind immediately spiraled. I let the spelling issue slide, he thought, a rising tide of exasperation washing over him. I convinced myself that that was a petty hang-up. I grew as a person. And now I am being asked to ignore this too? Is this how it goes? A constant parade of minor, yet profoundly grating, human quirks that one must simply accept for the sake of connection? He imagined a future of dinners. A future of quiet conversations punctuated by that soft smack. He imagined holidays, family gatherings, romantic candlelit meals, all soundtracked by the rhythmic, inescapable, barely there chewing sound. The horror. He tried to subtly change the subject, hoping a new topic would distract his auditory focus. He swallowed his food with exaggerated quietness, hoping to set an example. It did not work. The smack persisted. Chloe was telling a story about her recent vacation, her eyes sparkling. And Leo was nodding, smiling, pretending to listen, while his brain was doing a forensic analysis of her chewing habits. And then, a different thought occurred to him. A quieter thought. He looked at Chloe. Her face was animated. Her laughter was genuine. She was sharing her joy, her experiences, her authentic self. And here he was, dissecting her oral motor patterns. He realized that his petty obsession was not about her. It was about him. It was about his own inability to let go of tiny, insignificant details, his tendency to magnify minor flaws until they eclipsed all the good. He had already fought and, mostly, won the battle against the loose versus loose issue. Was he truly going to let a barely audible chewing sound derail a perfectly lovely evening, and potentially, a promising connection? He took a deep breath. He smiled, genuinely this time. He consciously pushed the sound to the background of his awareness, focusing instead on her words, on her smile, on the pleasant feeling of being out on a date with someone who clearly enjoyed his company. The smack was still there, a ghost of a sound, but it no longer held him captive. He was choosing to see the forest, not just the slightly imperfect tree. As the date drew to a close, they both agreed it had been a lovely evening. Chloe smiled, and Leo found himself looking forward to seeing her again. They made plans for a second date. Leo walked home, the city sounds muted by his still raging internal debate, but with a new sense of a quiet, wary victory. He knew it wouldn't be easy. He knew his brain would try to highlight every tiny flaw. But he was trying. He was choosing. And that, he realized, was enough. And as Leo, my very observant friend, drifted off to sleep that night, the dinner sound slowly faded from his mind. He didn't dream of perfect manners or flawless human interaction. He dreamed of quiet acceptance, of finding peace not in the absence of flaws, but in the willingness to overlook them for the sake of something genuinely good. He knew, deep down, that learning to navigate these small human imperfections was a necessary part of the journey. So, if you ever find yourself getting hung up on tiny imperfections in others, especially when you're trying to build a connection, remember Leo. Remember that sometimes, the biggest obstacles aren't external flaws, but our own internal nitpicking. And the greatest peace, and certainly the best path to sleep, comes not from perfecting the world, but from choosing what truly matters. Sleep now. And may your dreams be refreshingly free of minor human quirks, and full of genuine connection.